Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we've got a little treat for you. It's going to be a shorter video, but I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm going to repair the overhead display in my truck. The truck's a 2003 Ford F250. This is a common problem for those vehicles. It's basically just some little resistors that come unsoldered. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate you stopping by. And let's get started. Oh no. The dreaded black screen. Guess I'm gonna have to fix it again. I've fixed this thing about 10 times. Okay, so the first step to removing this console is to just pull it straight down. Now I would recommend, if it's cold weather, be sure you start the truck and turn the heater on and warm up the interior first, because the clips that hold this thing in place are very brittle, as well as the plastic that this is made out of. When I first bought this truck, about a year later, the sunglasses door broke, and so I had to remove this piece. And when I did, it ended up breaking in a spot or two, like a crack. So I had to replace this whole thing. But that's another story. When the sunglasses door broke, I had to buy this whole new console. And so what I did was I shoved a piece of foam up inside of here, so that this little latch can only move just enough to release it, because it's kind of a weak spot right there, and that's where it broke the first time on my first console. Anywho's, so to remove this, just work your finger up under here and just pull straight down. It's going to sound like it's going to break, but it's not. Or at least you hope it doesn't. Clips are intact, so we're good to go there. Seems awful loose. I guess it's supposed to be. Next step is to find the right Torx bit. There's 3 screws holding this piece up. What do you know? It's the smallest one I have. Before I pull the last screw out, I want to unhook the wiring harness, which is over on the side. It's got a little tab in the middle. You just push up on that tab and then slide the connector off. And this is it, removed in all of its glory. So now we'll take it inside and I'll show you what the problem is with these. And take your Torx bits with you, because there's a few bits on this board that we'll have to remove in order to get to the parts that we need to fix. Okay, so we've got the display on our workbench here, and as I said, there's at least one Torx screw right here that needs to be removed to get to the part we need to fix. I would recommend not using an impact driver when you reinstall those screws. So this is what we've got. Here's the casing for the display. We don't need that right now, so put that aside. And this is the display. As you can see, I don't know if I've alluded to this before, but I've had to fix this thing about 10 times. So in my last attempt, I shoved some foam down in here to try to hold everything in place. And this fix lasted the longest out of all of them. It's probably 4 or 5 years, if I had to guess. But anyway, so I got this piece of foam shoved down in here, so I'll pull that out. Lots of heat, as you can tell by the burn marks on the foam. Let's see, there's 7 resistors. Let me get a pointing device. Crooked one will do. So you've got 7 resistors, and they're flat. And they're 1, 2, 3, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you can see, this one right here, there's a burn spot on the edge of it. Now the solder on these resistors just gets, it gets hot, and then it moves, and basically these resistors become unsoldered from the circuit board. And when that happens, you lose your connection, and the display stops working. Try to get a better shot here. Look at that focus action. So here's all the resistors that I alluded to earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one right here looks like it's the problem. So what I'll do is check all these connections and then resolder the ones that need to be resoldered. And I'm probably going to leave well enough alone with the ones that don't need to be resoldered. So let's do that. So my testing procedure was nothing more than just hooking this back up in the truck. And of course, as soon as I hooked it back up, it worked. So I don't have a smoking gun. However, the display was about half as bright as it should be. It was dim until I pressed either here on this side of this resistor, or if I pressed back here where this giant glob of solder is. When I pressed in either one of those locations, the display went to full brightness. So I believe my issue lies in one of these two joints. This one here, or this one right back here. So I'm going to try to just redo those and then see how it goes from there. Of course, the two places I have to solder are the most difficult to get to. And it's a tiny, tiny area to work with. And it's just a pain in the buttocks. But I'll give it the old college try. Okay, so when I put this board in the truck and tested it, when I pressed down here on this solder joint or back here on this glob of solder, the display went from medium brightness to full brightness. And those are the only resistors that I could manipulate and make any change occur with the display itself. So therein I believe lies my problem. So I'm going to try to just resolder those two joints using my pencil tip butane soldering iron, and hopefully that does the trick. Only one way to find out, and that's to do it. So let's get to work. I need a wick to desolder this. I haven't got the wick. I think that might be good. I'm no expert, and I know it ain't pretty. Like I said, I need a desoldering wick really badly. But I think I may have accomplished what I set out to do. Only one way to find out, and that's to install it in the truck and try it. Well, the repair seems to have worked. I stuck this back in the truck and the display was just as bright as it should be. So now, the installation is just the reverse of the removal. So I guess I'll go ahead and just shove my foam back down in there, because it seems to have done something at least. How was it in there? Like this? That's how that was in there. And all that really does is if the solder gets so hot that those resistors fall off the board, this will catch them. So even though it's a poor design because everything's upside down in the truck, this will be like a mechanical barrier that, in theory and in hope, it'll keep everything where it needs to be. And as I stated earlier, screw these back in by hand, because you don't want to break them. That impact will shear them right off in a heartbeat. Alright, quick, to the Batmobile.
Let's reinstall a console display, shall we?
First things first. Get the little bugger mounted up, generally where it goes. Get your screw started by hand, just enough to hold it up there. Take your other screw, put it on your bit, and repeat. Now we'll take our last screw, screw number 3, goes up here in the front all by its lonesome, and fasten the display to the mount. Done. Tighten these 2 last remaining screws, hook up your electrical connector, turn the key on to check that it still works properly. Looky there! Got ourselves a lit up display, we do.
Now, leaving the key on, just so that we can see if anything drastic happens when we install this cover plate. Now, make sure that your headliner is where it needs to be. I made that mistake before. Line up your tabs with their corresponding holes. In this case, they're actually slots. And give her a good push. There you go. Bob's your uncle. That's crooked. I don't like it. I don't like it none. There we go. That's more like it. Yay! Alright everybody, I hope you learned something. It was a quick repair, but a repair nonetheless. I've done it a lot of times. Hopefully this will be the last time, but I seriously doubt it. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and keep an eye out on my channel, because I'm always going to be making new videos whenever I find my round to it. And your attendance is appreciated. Much obliged. Until next time. Peace outside.